Hey guys, Eternal Phoenix here. We're doing another collaboration video today with another anime YouTuber by the name of D Rich. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
What's up, my guys? Name is D Rich here. On YouTube is D-RichYT if you want to check me out. Glad to be here. Eternals reached out and wanted me to come onto this collaboration with them, and I'm kind of excited for it. Been doing YouTube for a while, been doing TikTok, Instagram. If you want to check me out on any of those platforms, that's whatever. Just here to have some fun, speak the truth, and just kind of let loose a bit. So
the first thing I actually want to talk about, because it's been on everybody's minds lately, at least in the anime community, is something I've seen a lot of posts about, but the live action Avatar adaptation. It is crazy. Don't get me wrong, the bending looks good. And that's one of the things we've been wanting for a long time, because in the original one, the M. Night Shyamalan version, the firebenders weren't even really bending fire. They were taking fire and bending the fire that they take. So it's like you had to have like a torch, you had to walk in with a torch lighter and then steal the flame to use it. And now everything's looking crisp, everything's looking clean. We're getting like Marvel Studios level of bending out here, and it looks good. But the main issue is they are changing so much. They are changing character progression. They're taking out things from the original show that people enjoyed, like Sokka's character progression, and how in the beginning he was more against women, and then he changed into a better story arc, and now he's got the steez. The guy's out there. He's a warrior. He was a big part of Team Avatar in the Legend of Korra series. But what do you think on all this?
It's weird because the show it's so much different than the original product, but it's not entirely different. And that's why there's so much people like OG fans who are fighting over they're trying to preserve what Avatar was to them, because Avatar is almost 20 years old now. It's almost 2 decades old. So I have people in my ear on my left side talking about why they've messed up everything. Sokka's not the same. Katara's not the same. They're mashing up plot points for time purposes. And then I've got people who are just trying to say, oh, you're complaining too much. You're complaining. Be grateful. It's better than the movie. First off, being better than the movie is not a compliment, by the way. Everything's better than the movie. That's so far down. That bar is so low.
That's like the Dragon Ball Evolution bar, you know?
Yeah, that shouldn't even leave your mouth, especially if Netflix has control over this, because it's like that's not a compliment. First off, that's not even a compliment. We shouldn't even be talking about that product. Forget about that. Don't even use that as a reference. So Netflix, they knew that this story was amazing. It got onto Netflix back in 2020 and it was in their top 10 most watched shows consistently for 59 days, almost 60 days, 2 months. And Avatar was running Netflix for a little bit. And what is annoying is, you know that this product is successful. You have a lot of fans and new fans that are joining it. And all you have to do is just tell the story again, but in a different medium. And people are complaining about, oh, it's an adaptation. It doesn't need to be the same. No one wants it to be 1 by 1. No one's asking for it to be 1 by 1. We just don't want you changing stuff that doesn't need to be changed. You don't have to have Kyoshi come in instead of Roku. Just let the stuff happen the way it's supposed to happen and let people enjoy the series as it unfolds, just like the Avatar in 2005?
Yeah, and they do this all the time. Every time there's a live action adaptation, they never listen to their fans, which are their main audience they're trying to reach. They did it with the Bleach live action. They did it with the Full Metal Alchemist live action.
I'm not watching.
When I tell you, listen, the Full Metal Alchemist live adaptation was so bad, okay? I was watching it with my grandfather. I got my grandfather to watch it because he was showing an interest in anime. And I was like, oh, well, let's watch this. It can't be that bad. It was so bad. I binged watched the entirety of Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist The Brotherhood as a palate cleanser. That's how bad it was.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad I didn't watch it because that's my favorite TV show of all time. So Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is my favorite piece of work I've ever watched or read. For me to go in, I saw that there was a live action. I looked at the picture and I was like, there's no point in me watching this. I'm a critique ever living. Yeah, I can't watch it. So
Yeah, and with Avatar, it gave them a chance before with the movie, and they I won't say they ruined it compared to what we have now,
I'll
but
say ruined it, butchered it. No, nothing. I'll say ruined it. They ruined it. How you go in and say Ong? What?
Yeah,
like you just didn't watch the show.
It was bad, but it was just like we were eating in a sense that people thought it was good enough to get a movie, but they didn't learn anything from that other than better special effects, better CGI, better bending. And now they're messing with the story. And for the writers and everything to step away from their own product, that tells you a lot.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just like, if you wanted to write something that was different than the original and show something that's different from the original, there are books. There's like so many books that they could have done.
Gosh.
They could have done a live adaptation of the original Avatar. They could have done a live adaptation of the guy who came after Wan. The second Avatar, you know how cool it would have been just to see a show or an animated series about the second Avatar who died during a war, if I'm not mistaken. But he only had one past life to draw from, and now he's trying to be the Avatar. That would have been so cool, so interesting.
It would have been
to see in any form. This isn't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. This isn't even the first time that they've done this type of thing. When they tried to do the Cowboy Bebop live action, the actors actually cared about the show. The main character for Spike Spiegel cared about the series to do a good portrayal, but the people behind it producing were doing so many changes that the author again had to step away because he said this isn't Cowboy Bebop. So as much as we may have loved whatever they did, or as much as the actors themselves wanted to do a proper portrayal, it's always about them dollar signs at the end of the day and trying to make something they think is going to appeal to a mass audience and not the people that they should be appealing to, because that's how I got to where it is to begin with.
Right. It's such, and people are going to go in the comments and be like, oh, they have to change stuff. They don't have to change anything. First off, they don't have to change a single thing. They have the money, they have the resources, they have the fans. Netflix put more money into these episodes than any other TV show they've ever made. So they have the time, they have the resources. It's a writing thing, because Avatar, the Last Airbender, the original cartoon was 20 episodes for the first season. The live action is 8 episodes, but an hour each. So if you take up the time of those 8 episodes, hour each, versus the 20 episodes that are about 20 minutes each, it's roughly the same amount of time. And you can still cut stuff from the cartoon that you might not need in the long term of what's going on in the show, or make references to it. You know, you don't have to show every single thing. No one wants a 1x1. So it's what's a bother for a lot of fans is we understand it looks amazing. We understand that the actors are doing their best. We're not dumb. We're not ungrateful. The bending looks absolutely amazing. First off, like it's absolutely incredible what they're capable of doing with CGI and a good cast of actors. It's just a writing thing, because there's no reason for Kyoshi to be in place of Roku. There's no reason for us cutting out development for characters and then trying to make up for it later. Just follow the process of events so that we can get to where we're supposed to be and everything works out the way that we envisioned, or not envisioned, but how we saw it the first time. And it being a different medium is going to give it changes. And that's why we're watching the live action. We want to see the differences of how these how these characters are shown in a live action medium. But it doesn't mean we want the entire story to be changed, or we want what the characters meant to us to change, because that's why we love the show. We love it because of who they were in this animated format, and we just want to see how it looks in a live action format. You don't have to change that stuff.
Exactly. And to be completely honest, all the money Netflix has, they could draw this series out and do it by book, by chapter, like the anime did, and it'd still be good. And they could change small things in a more drawn out series where you're not smushing everything together, where you have the time to have like little side plots. You could have a couple more of Uncle Iroh teachings in there that weren't in the anime, because you're spacing it out in a well-paced story where everything is still flowing like it should, but with enough room the show like the stuff that we didn't see in the anime. What were they doing at nighttime? You know, like where were they setting up base camp at? What was Prince Zuko doing when we weren't looking at Team Avatar? Just little stuff that they may not have been able to show us in the anime because they either didn't have the funding or the time slot to do that. Now you have a big company backing you. You could show the writers and the authors' true vision of what this world could be, and they're fumbling it. They're fumbling it so bad and trying to rely so heavily on CGI. And it's coming to a thing, and I say this a lot when it comes to other mediums as well, because Marvel does this too. They're trying to ride the fact that a good IP is going to be the only thing that gets people to watch the show. And then because you have a Batman or a Superman or whatever IP, you could just write whatever you want, even if it's hot garbage, and people are going to watch it because it's something from their nostalgic childhood, like what they did with Velma. And now you got that very terrible, not even Scooby-Doo, but IP'd as Scooby-Doo show. So like they'll learn eventually, but it'll probably be too late, and we'll probably get a couple flops in between them learning and us trying to tell them. I'm honestly scared to see what they do with Prince Zuko's development, and even more so beyond just Avatar. We're supposed to be getting a live adaptation of Naruto. And if you think the fans get uproused about Avatar, if you mess up Naruto, you're going to have a million people in headbands at Netflix's door the next day.
Yeah. I mean, that's very possible. I don't see it because anime live action adaptations have such a bad rep these days that I heard that Netflix, or not Netflix, but I heard that Naruto was going to have a live action adaptation. And at first I heard that Kishimoto was going to be a part of it, like usual. You know, you usually have the authors be a part of the products or projects. And I don't have any expectations. They're so far down. And I think that's how everyone's going to be with these live actions, because you hear about Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cowboy Bebop, now Avatar. The only good adaptation that people have been saying is really good is One Piece. That's pretty much it. And even One Piece has some differences, but when I was watching a bit of the live action for One Piece, I was like, this looks pretty good. I'm actually kind of liking this. And I hope people don't get their hopes up for this Naruto live action to be good, because we just don't have enough. We don't have enough. There's not enough. What's the word? Evidence. There's not enough evidence to go off of that it will be good. So I feel like people's expectations are going to be extremely low.
And my concern on this, and this is probably a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but the casting for anime adaptations is so hard, because you either can find a guy or a girl or whatever that looks like the character that you're trying to portray, or you whitewash the whole cast, like with the M. Night Shyamalan look of his movie. Right. So you can either have Asian actors that look like or are similar to what you're trying to portray, or you can have American actors or British actors or whatever the case that they use that might give a good performance but look nothing like what you're supposed to look like in the show. And it's kind of a weird way to look at it, because when you look at anime, it's from an Asian demographic, but they're not always. I'm not saying this is every time the case, but if you didn't know that Naruto is supposed to be like an Asian kid in a ninja village, he looks like the average white kid in a neighborhood, you know? But he's supposed to be from ninjas, that whole culture comes from Asia and Japan and China. But if you were just watching the show, not all of them look like they come from that area of the world. So it's a little easier for somebody to go then and cast an American guy to play Kakashi or to play Naruto, or wherever the case. But you can either have good effects and an Asian cast, or bad effects and an American cast, at least from what I've seen. Not to say that's always the case, but that's usually what I see in that aspect. And they either do something completely different from what the author made, or they try to follow it similarly, but the effects, the budget, and all that aren't up to snuff. And then you get stuck with a movie that we're not going to name that we talked about earlier.
Right. That's just what makes me so upset with the live action Avatar, because they had so much money and then they actually had fairly decent casting. Almost some of them being really good casting, for characters on how they looked and their ethnicities and the way that they would portray these characters, and then the story is just not how people wanted it to be, because the writers felt like they wanted to put their name on this project, and they wanted to change stuff up, and they felt like, and they did that. You don't have to feel like nothing because you already know it's successful. So just follow what you got. So I feel like with live action animes, it, like you said, is so much more difficult. It's not impossible, but it's just when you do get that cast, you have to take real good care of what you're doing, because you're walking on glass right now, like whenever you take a project like that has such a huge popularity and it's in an animated format and you're trying to take it to live action, it's really, really hard to do. You have to be almost perfect, just about, because there's so much you could do wrong in the process of trying to do right. And that's what a lot of these writers that are coming in and trying to work on these live action shows, they don't realize it. What I wish they would start doing is instead of taking finished products that are really good, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, I wish they would do Star Wars. Really? I wish they would treat it like Star Wars, expand upon the universe, but use different mediums to do it. Because I don't need Revenge of the Sith in animated format, though it would be cool to get certain scenes, maybe, certain fights. But I don't need the whole thing.
They closed down the studio that made the Clone Wars, so we're probably never going to get graced by anything like that again in the history of ever. Because the Clone Wars was peak animation at the time.
I think they reopened it because the Bad Batch right now is the exact same animation style as season 7 of the Clone Wars. And by the way, if you're not watching the Bad Batch, beautiful, amazing, perfect. But I want more animated products from Star Wars, but I'm also not mad with live action products because you don't have to. It's kind of cool watching certain characters, how they're being in live action and then how they would be in animated format. And as long as they're not drastically different, then I can follow along and you can tell different stories in different mediums, but they all still work together. So with Avatar, you could tell they really liked Kyoshi, by the way. You could clearly tell there was a bias towards Kyoshi when they got to Kyoshi's island and they were like, we're going to shove in a bunch of information. We're going to make Kyoshi be the one to tell it. And then we're going to have this really dope 5-minute scene of Kyoshi beating butt and whooping on these firebenders. If that's the case, and I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of people, we would have all watched the live action Kyoshi TV show. I would have watched the live action Kyoshi TV show. I would have totally watched that because she looked dope. She looked amazing. You got her narrating the intro. You've got her in the avatar state in the intro as well. You guys clearly liked Kyoshi. Instead of doing Avatar: The Last Airbender, why don't we do a little Kyoshi story? Something that people would like to see. Something that's new, something that's different, refreshing. But you got the budget
for a live action adaptation to do like a long series with it. So moving on from that, there's been a lot of talk about the anime studios these days and just the state of anime and things of that nature. Before I get into the big topic, one of the more recent anime to come out that I've really just been enamored with, just because the fight choreography is great, the animation itself is great, has been Ninja Kamui. Ninja Kamui and also Solo Leveling, but mainly Ninja Kamui. And that's not something I really expected from Solo Entertainment, Solo Studios, because the only thing that they're really known for is Ghost in the Shell, Tower of God, and they did the Shenmue, the animated series. They've done a couple of other things, but they're not really like they're not like a Funimation or a Toei Studios or a Mappa or anything. But have you seen Ninja Kamui? Have you gotten to watch that yet?
I have not seen Ninja Kamui yet.
My God, I've heard
a bunch about it. I'm also kind of like letting it build up a little bit because they're only on like episode 5 right now, if I'm correct. They're not super far into it.
Yeah, they're not too far into it, but like I just made a video about this the other day talking a little bit about it. This man is John Wick if John Wick was a ninja, and John Wick is already darn near a ninja to begin with. Right. Every fight scene this man is in, he is bodying people. Like I said in my video, like his pronouns are I'm/him, and his theme song is Bodies by Drowning Pool because everywhere he goes, he's dropping bodies.
Yeah.
This is like if Naruto was in the modern day and they were using jutsu in real life situations. Like he's just out here, Ashura form, 8 arms, like there's fights in there. They're just so crazy. Like, stick a needle in your arm and you can fix a whole broken limb and spin your neck back around straight. Like it's crazy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good stuff about it, so I'm sure I will watch it eventually. I just haven't gotten to it. But
that's Solo Studios, the big ticket thing that people have been seeing and talking about, and it's just been here and there. I know, I'm sure most of you have seen memes about it, but Mappa Studios, I think, is on drugs right now because they have a lineup of at least 6 to 7 anime that they are trying to do simultaneously at the same time. They got Vinland Saga, the season 2 for that. They're supposed to be handling. They're supposed to be handling the next season of Jujutsu Kaisen. They got so much on the table already. Their workers aren't going home. They're sleeping at work with sleeping bags. Might as well say bye to your kids. They're not going to be able to see them graduate. They're going to be step parenting from the office. Like, it's ridiculous. I saw one picture of an animator from Mappa Studios, and his eyes look like he got stung by wasps and bees around his eyes from just being so overworked. And I get that overworking and like having such a serious tone is something that's common over there. But is it really, like, don't get me wrong, we're eating in terms of animation. We are killing it in terms of what we are getting. But is it worth the cost?
It's really tough because these animators are so extremely talented. You know, like you have all of these people come in to work on these projects, and then corporations are so greedy and they make it seem like, you know, oh, you have to get this out at this very moment in time, and we're going to start uploading episodes to the TV show before you're finished with the project. So now you got them working double, triple, quadruple overtime trying to get these frames and this animation for the work done. And it's just like, it's just ridiculous. We don't have to do this. You don't have to treat your animators like this. And I'm hoping that it backfires on these corporations at some point, because it's just it's inhumane. It's inhumane at this point. Because when I heard the whole situation with Mappa and how we're getting such amazing works of art and they want to quit because it's like, we have no time to rest. This is ridiculous. I heard that they did the entire JJK Zero movie in 4 months. 4 months.
It's crazy because we still got that amount of quality, but that just means they're being slave drivers over there. They're underpaid and their work conditions aren't good, let alone having a day off. I heard for, what was it, season 2, Jujutsu Kaisen? Are we on season 2 or season 3?
We are on season 2, right? Or they just finished season 2. So
okay, so when season 2 was still coming out, I watched the video, and then I went to online to search up some information on something about a specific scene. I can't remember what it was, but I saw a post that basically said that they posted the Jujutsu Kaisen episode, the newest episode, 15 minutes after the animators got done doing it. And then they wanted them to immediately start work on the second one after that. And I'm just sitting here, like, you can't really do that to people at the very least. Because when I was growing up, we used to watch it on anime on Toonami. Every time after like 8 p.m., Toonami would come on, and especially if it was a weekend, you had anime every afternoon, all throughout the weekend, and you had time slots. Everything was good, and I was fine waiting a week to see a specific show. But now they got these shows coming out like back to back. At the very least, they should make a show in its entirety for the entire first season, give them a couple-month break, and then release the episodes sequentially, or get the entire season done, post the entire season, give them a break, and then, like, I don't know, a month and a half, maybe 2 months later, start work on the second season after you see how good the first season is doing. Like, give them time to breathe. Because at this point, they're coming out like Call of Duty video games. It's just like Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Cold War. It's literally like Mappa is the DJ Khaled of anime studio adaptations. Just another one. Right. I don't think it's just, I think it's across the board too.
all of these animation studios, for the most part, are abusing their workers, and it's apparent. And they don't speak out on it, but with the whole Mappa situation, they were finally speaking out on it and going to Twitter and being like, "Hey, I can't do this no more. Like, this is just ridiculous. We have no time for anything, and we're doing this with a piece of lint, a paper clip, and a dream." It's ridiculous. You guys take the time you need. If you have built up the fan base will wait. You guys have the money to do this. I know that you would want more money. Obviously, in a perfect world, the animation studios would be getting millions upon billions of dollars, and everything would work out perfectly, and we would wait a year and some change for the next season, with these animators having like 6 months of a break so that they could be with their families. But in a perfect world, we can't.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy though? It's not like they're still doing it by hand. Because when I say by hand, it's not like they're still doing it line art a little bit at a time. They have so much technology nowadays, and they have the funding to hire more workers to make up for the slack, to give each department a break. Like, you handle the opening, you handle the ending, you handle the fight scenes, you handle the backgrounds. They have the money to do that. And it's like coming up when I was first getting into this stuff, like and watching this, I used to hear all the time about how not even just in the anime side, on the animation side, but mangakas, the writers and the creators of just the mangas, will be literally writing and drawing themselves into early graves.
Oh my
making
gosh.
the book chapters because of the deadlines and everything. And that's ridiculous.
It's the entire thing is corrupt. It's so ridiculous because you don't have to do this. There are ways around this. There are breaks to take. It's all necessity, but they don't allow for these the people that they're working to the grave. They don't allow them to take the necessary breaks that they need so that they can continue pumping out the content that they love to pump out. So the whole thing is corrupt, especially when you this is because it's funny because Zom 100, when it was initially coming out, Zom 100 was even talking about how, hey, the situation in Japan, depending, it doesn't even have to be animation, it could be even other stuff, but what they were talking about, just the lack of life that they're able to live because they're constantly working and working and working in these studios and in these establishments, these buildings, these businesses, and they are not given time that they need to live. Like, it's like you said, they're just working themselves to the grave. And Zom 100, you would have thought, okay, we're making a TV show about the unfair situation of, these businesses. So you would think that corporation would follow the guidelines to whatever it was that they're talking about in the TV show that they're making. And Zom 100's out here, we're going to have a break here, we're going to have a break there, we're going to disappear for 4 months. Oh, how did we get here?
I feel like at a point when a show is doing good enough, they think that, and don't get me wrong, if they're using that time to give a break to the workers, that's fine. But I think some companies, they're having such good luck with how good these shows are turning out that they start getting a little cocky. Look at Invincible. Invincible has all the episodes out and then released 4 of the episodes, and it has taken, we're on month 3 now of hiatus to draw suspense for the remaining episodes they're dropping. So I don't really know what the deal is with that.
My only issue is just, I want these animators to take their break, but no one is rushing you to start uploading episodes before the product is ready. And I was just talking about this in a video recently, but it's like with the whole Invincible situation, with Zom 100, with any of these products, Mappa, with the Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, stop uploading these episodes before they're ready. Just wait until all of the episodes are ready and then start uploading it. So then you can build up hype. So then these animators can rest so that you can actually, have a sound schedule. And it feels like these corporations refuse to do that. Even in America with Invincible, you have the entire season prepared. but you're not uploading the episodes because of what? What that just feels like you're shooting yourself in the foot. What reason
we
do you
already
have
waited
to wait?
we waited 2 years just to get to this point, and they're doing the
Right.
break in that.
So it's just dumb, because take the break that you need to take and then set up the episodes that need to be set up and then upload those episodes and then take your break. But instead it's like, we're going to shove this TV show, this TV show, this TV show, this TV show, all by the same company, all by the same production team. And then you're going to work on this, and you're going to work on that, and you're going to work on this. And then while this is uploading, you're still going to be working on it. And then we're going to start uploading this TV show before you're done with the TV show you just started. It's just a mess. It's ridiculous. Just wait. You just have to wait. Wait until it's ready. Psalm 100, if they started uploading episodes in August. And then they had that ridiculous break that messed up their entire scheduling. If they had just waited until, say, November, and had finished all of the work that needed to be done beforehand, and then started uploading episodes, then the time that it is being uploaded would be the time that these animators have breaks. Because if you work on 25 episodes, or let's say 13, if you're working on 13 episodes for a season, that's 13 weeks of a break. If you finish everything and then you're uploading episodes, at the very least, even if you're not taking the entire season for the break, if you take half the season, that's still almost 2 months of a break that you have before you start working on maybe the next season, because the first 6 episodes got really good, they got really good reviews, and people want a second season. It's successful. So it's like, okay, cool. After we've had our 2-3 month break, we can start working on it, and that would still pan out well for these for the fans and for the animation studios. And then, okay, a year and a half, pushing 2 years. All right, we've gotten the next season pretty much done, and I'll rinse and repeat. People will wait 2 years for a TV show. It's just a matter of communication and actually having good scheduling.
What anime have you been watching lately that you could recommend to my fans?
Ooh, okay. So Solo Leveling has been fun. That's probably the most popular. I know people are going crazy over that. They uploaded a recap episode, and in the recap episode was the most disliked episode in Crunchyroll history. I thought that was hilarious, because it's like, I heard it was a recap episode, and I was like, okay, I just won't watch it. Like, but everyone wanted to go watch it.
Would you put a recap episode when there's only 8 episodes? I understand there's like 50, and you need a recap maybe, but 8 episodes in already a recap?
I think it's just they didn't need the recap. They just needed the break. So it's like, okay, just take a week break. You don't have to. You're taking more resources and time to put together a recap episode instead of just skipping a week so that you could take your break. So it's like, no one's complaining about no week break. Everyone does it. No one's complaining about that. It's just so funny, because it's like, you even see it says 7.5. So you already know what time it is. It's a recap episode. Just skip it. You don't have to say nothing. But regardless,
what other shows?
So Solo Leveling has been really fun. However, I am hearing absolutely no one talk about Undead or Unluck Undead. Undead
Really?
Unluck,
Okay.
So no one's talking about it.
Before you even get into that, so on my last collaboration with RJ from Anime on the Rise A&V, and talks about anime and stuff, he absolutely hated that show. Not as much as he hated Black Clover, but he hated.
He hates Black Clover. What? No.
Well, he's got a list of stuff he hates. He hates Demon Slayer. He hated Black Clover, which, don't get me wrong, I couldn't finish Black Clover either, but it is what it is. I'm willing to give Undead Luck a chance just because it looked good visually, but I have yet to watch it, but he hated that show.
Now I have to watch that to see what he had to say, because that's ridiculous. First off, Undead Unluck is amazing from what I've seen so far. I was a little thrown off by the first episode because I didn't know what direction they were going with it, because anime can be really weird sometimes. And I didn't think I was going to like the main character, because essentially a synopsis of the story, basically, without giving too many spoilers. There's the main character Fuko, and the main characters are Fuko and Andy. And so Fuko, if she touches someone with skin to skin contact, they get they die. Not just
Really?
bad luck, they will die because the bad luck's just that bad. So if she touches you with her hands or just bare skin in general, you will die. And Andy has, and that's why her power is basically unluck. And then Andy is undead, so he can't die. So the whole thing is Andy has been living for a long time, and basically he wants to find a way for him to finally have rest. So basically the point is Andy wants to die, and Fuko has this ability to kill him. And so the whole point is for him to find out a way for him to die. And I was a little thrown off because at first he started groping her in the first episode a little bit, and I was like
basically trying to get the ability to hit him, essentially.
Right, because it was revealed that the more that she touches him, the worse the death would be. So he ended up touching underneath her shirt aggressively, trying to die. And I'm like, I understand that you want to die, but that's a really, really weird direction, and I don't want to see that. So
Yeah.
I watched the first episode, even though the animation is amazing, and then I took a break from it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep watching that. But then I gave it a second chance and kept watching, and it did not go in that direction at all. Actually,
well, that's good. That's good.
It ended up actually being. And they kind of build a bit of a relationship. And then if there is any touching of that sort of nature, it's fully consent.
From what I saw, if I just came at it at like a cold watch, and like clips you see online are never going to have like the weird stuff like that unless that's the main point of the video. But like it didn't entail any of that. Like, you could tell that it was a little awkward. Like obviously she didn't want to be with the guy at the time. At least for the scene that I was with, she was just like, "Are you crazy?" But I never got the vibe, at least at that time, that it was going to be in that direction. So I'm glad to hear that it didn't stay with that level of let's just say intensity the entire way through. But what else have you been watching though?
Right now, that TV show, Solo Leveling. Those are the main ones I'm keeping up with. I have a trouble of not watching new shows when they come out. I'm like really like picky on what I choose to watch. So
Bro, same. So in the last collaboration video with RJ, I was telling him that like I hate the hype train. And what I mean by that is like I will watch a show when I want to watch a show. And if you tell me about it, that's fine. Like if you were to say, "Hey, Eternal, you got to check out this anime, Undead Unluck. It's a little weird in the beginning, but it gets so good." That's fine. But if
right,
you told me and RJ told me and some of my other YouTuber friends told me and like
the more
everybody
you
and their
hear it,
mom,
the more you're like, all right, I don't want to. I'm
yeah,
not
because
going to touch
like
this no more.
I I used to have this buddy who he moved states now, but he used to tell me every time I saw him, he was like, "You have to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's peak fiction.
Mm,
It's peak anime. It's coming to save the anime world, this, that, and the third. Like you have to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to watch it." And
it's too hyped up.
I had put it off originally because the animation style was just a little different. Which don't get me wrong, different isn't always
Right.
bad. But he got me. He's like, "Give it a try," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll watch." Because normally you have like that episode, maybe 5 episode rule, where
Hmm.
if you don't like it or if it's not pulling you in within the first 3 episodes or first 5 episodes, you drop it, right? But I was
Right.
like, he's promising me that it gets so much better and it's so good and this, that, and the third, and so I watched the entire first season and I enjoyed it, but I stopped after season 1. And it's not because the show itself was bad. It's because what they did to Speedwagon. Okay, I don't know if you've seen it, but they played Speedwagon like a chump, man. The first scene that they show this guy in, and if you haven't seen it, Speedwagon, it starts off as this gangster punk who
Hmm.
is going to be assisting or being the secondary lead to JoJo, and
Right.
he's got like this hat. The hat has like blades, and he touches it and can throw the blades, and he's real cool. And then next thing you know, he's the hype man of the entire season. He's just like
JoJo, he got shot in the head and he's not going down. Oh my gosh, JoJo, you punched him and he took the punch. And I'm just like, what? I was like, dude, like 2 episodes ago, you were like a threat. You 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 were a
Right.
real deal, and now you're the announcer for fight matches. Just like why? And then he tried. There was a scene where he tried to get, I guess, the main powers that the main character had, and his I can't remember what the mentor's name was off the top of my head right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, he tries to get his what was it, Hamon? He tried to get Hamon,
Mhm.
and he did the little technique that he does on JoJo to unlock his abilities. And I don't know if it actually unlocked it in Speedwagon or if he wasn't capable of doing it, but if he did have it, he never did anything with it. And then,
Gotcha.
spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I know a lot of people love Speedwagon, he dies in the beginning of season 2, like in such a way that it was stupid. Like, how do you survive an entire season and span like generations of time to die and like at the beginning of the second season? And then if I'm not mistaken, because it's been a minute, they off-screened him. If I'm not mistaken, they off-screened Speedwagon. One of the most
I'd
like he,
have I'd have to rewatch. So I don't really go off of seasons. I go off of they're basically parts.
yeah.
So part one is what Jonathan Joestar, the whole origin story with Dio, the introduction to Speedwagon. Part two is with Joseph, and if I remember correctly, Speedwagon was like a super old dude at that point in time. So I don't remember exactly what happened to Speedwagon. If did you ever finish part two?
I did not. After they killed Speedwagon, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore, and I did not. Never went back to it.
Okay. So all right. So I highly recommend going back and watching it still.
See, look, don't do this to me, man. Don't do this.
Just listen to what I'm about to say, okay? And this will be a little bit of a light spoiler, but it might entail you to continue watching. So, number one, Speedwagon is the fucking goat. All right, end of story. He's the best. He ends up. I don't remember exactly if he died or not, but he ends up creating a foundation called the Speedwagon Foundation. And the Speedwagon Foundation is so goated that they're still relevant like 7 seasons later. Like he has saved the Joestar family more times than I can count. It's ridiculous. He has the foundation that he put together has single-handedly put the Joestars in like a much better position to win like probably at least 50% of their fights, because if he didn't put it together, they would have died 10 times over. So I don't remember exactly. Part 2 is actually a lot of people's favorite part. It's been like several years since I've seen part 2. I would recommend at the very least watching part 2 to finish and seeing if you can get back into it or not. If you don't like part 2, it's done. Don't continue watching JoJo's. It's a very short part 2. It's only like 14 episodes, I want to say. But if you watch part 2 and you finish part 2 and you're like, I'm not messing with it, then you're not going to like JoJo's. But part 2 is like single-handedly considered one of the best parts of JoJo's. And it's one of the reasons why I continued watching JoJo's, because I didn't like part 1 at all, really. I didn't care for the whole vampire storyline or anything that they had going on in that part. I watched part 2 and I was like, damn, now I got to keep watching.
And the thing is so sad is that like I wanted to watch it after like because the concept's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your stands, you got the Haman, you got the generational like bad guy. That's fine. That's cool. Animation, I can deal with that. I've seen One Piece, and One Piece gets pretty out there in terms of animation, so I can handle it.
Really good too. So,
but after the break of like not watching it, right? I would see the memes of like Dio's son, and they're like jumping people and stuff, and it's just like now they got stands transformed into what now is the domain expansion meme. So what it used to be is you see that meme and the person kind of lean back, walking forward, and they would like throw the clothes of a JoJo person onto like a regular person, or it's just like my stand is, I don't know, Jesus. And that was the thing. And if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if this is true or not, because again, I've never seen anything past part two, but is Jesus actually a Stan or actually a JoJo character? Because I saw some stuff like you got like Biggie Smalls is a Stan. You got like Freddie Mercury is a Stan. Like what?
You haven't gotten to part 3 yet, so when they introduce stands, there's a good chance that you'll actually like it. All of the stands are named after influential artists.
Really?
So yeah, so like you've got either they're named after influential artists or like influential albums. So Biggie Smalls is an actual stand.
Oh
You've
Lord,
got,
the notorious B.I.G.
yeah, he had the person who had the Biggie Smalls or the BIG stand. It was a pretty dope stand. I'm drawing a blank on all of the stands because there's so many artists across the board that they have. But that's definitely a really cool aspect because Araki, the creator of JoJo's, is really big on music. And that was his way of attributing or giving his flowers to famous musicians, famous artists that he really liked. Now, as far as Jesus, I actually have no idea. I think that's manga stuff that they haven't covered yet. I've also seen some of the memes, and I'm
Lord.
like, how are
If
they
Jesus
going to cover that?
is look, if Jesus is a Joe Star or Jesus is a Stan, I swear.
I think that's like season. That's like part 8, part 9 territory. I think.
What
So
would
I
his
have no idea?
like? What would his powers even be? Like he can walk on.
Know.
He can walk on air or something. He like if you kill him, if you kill him and don't kill him after 3 days, he comes back and he's stronger. Like
I don't know how they covered that topic. So that one that's in the dark for me actually. But that's so far down the line that you kind of have no understanding on stance just quite yet. So I would definitely, if you do happen to like part 2, which like I said, I love part 2. It's one of the best. If you do happen to like part 2, I think then you'd probably like the rest of JoJo's because part 2 is like it gets you really invested in the world. And Joseph, the new Joestar that you cover, he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Joestar from the entire show. So he had a really likable personality, and
he's the one with he's the one with what was it, Star Platinum, and he's basically got the same stand as
no, that's Jotaro.
Oh, that's Jotaro. Okay.
Yeah, that's in part 3. So part 2 is with Joseph, and they continue with the whole Hamon.
Gotcha.
Hamon. They continue with that whole power system, and then part 3 comes in and they introduce the stands.
Gotcha.
I would definitely. I really did like part 2. So I don't think. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Speedwagon died in that season, but
it was like episode 2. They found like a vampiric mask, and then he just gets like off screened. Is what I think happened.
Yeah, I don't think he. I could be wrong, but I don't think he died in that scene. I mean, I might be remembering incorrectly. He might have died, but I feel like I would have had an issue with that if he had died in that scene. So I don't think he died. But
I mean,
since I've.
What I can say is that it was such a shock to me that I didn't watch the episode after. Yeah, I didn't watch the episode after. So it could be that he looked like he had died and he didn't. But after that, I was like, they're going to kill off my boy Speedwagon like that? I'm out.
Yeah. Now, there's a reason everyone loves Speedwagon. So, I don't, because, with the whole time thing in JoJo's, eventually everyone is going to die because they're moving forward in time so fast. Like
Yeah.
you meet this grandchild, and then you meet this grandchild, and then this
Yeah.
great nephew. Like the Joestar family kind of grows. But like I said, the Speedwagon Foundation goes on for like the entire series. So I don't remember if he died or not, but just know that my boy, even in death, is clutching right now. So
That's good.
I would
That's
definitely
good.
try to give it another chance if you can.
That's good. And one of the things I do like is that Dio has stood the test of time for standing on business. Like this man,
Right.
like he kissed his girl, so she couldn't get his first kiss. He I can't curse, but like he beat him up in front of public and embarrassed him in front of his parents. Basically, tried to take the man's whole life off of pettiness, and then took his
Right.
body. And then
Right.
took his body. Like that's
Taking this body is like the craziest part to
that's
me
the
because
that's the utmost disrespect at that point because you
you
just
literally
beaten you are beating the kids and grandkids of your arch enemy with a great granddaddy's body.
that is wild. That is insane. The stuff that Dio was doing and the stuff he continues to do, is insane. So I would definitely, it's definitely worth it. But moving on topics,
Yeah.
off JoJo.
Off of JoJo because we might have been on that for a minute. If I don't know what you're into specifically, but I can make a couple recommendations for you as well as the viewers watching / listening. So you said you never seen Bleach before, and I know you said you know the gist of it. Do yourself a favor and watch Bleach. Just do it, man.
I have tried to watch Bleach before. I
It's
thought
big
the
three for a
concept was
reason, bro.
interesting. Yeah, no, I know for a fact that it's going to be dope. I just, especially with longer shows like that, I have to build up the resolve to like make that commitment to start
It's
watching.
not, bro.
And it usually takes some time.
It's not like a One Piece commitment though. You don't have thousands of episodes. Like you could get this. You could
Not
binge watch Bleach
necessarily.
and be done in a month. You could literally get caught up with Bleach in a month. You could probably watch the entirety of Bleach and get caught up on the manga at least to the Thousand Year Blood War arc in a month if you were real
That's
deal
a
about it.
month. But that's a month.
I don't want to hear it, man. Do you know how many
That's
YouTubers
a
have caught?
month.
Do you know how many YouTubers have caught up with One Piece with over 1,000 episodes? Over
So
a thousand.
what about all the new TV shows that be coming out that I'm also supposed to talk about and be caught up with?
Yeah. Well, look.
Do I
Here's
have
the
time
thing.
for those?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I said in my last video, I don't like riding the hype train in terms of like stuff people telling me what to do in terms of like everybody telling me. But this has been out for years, man. Bleach was
Right?
one of like the
And that's on
first.
me.
Bleach is one of the first animes that I watched. It was Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball. Not specifically in that order, but Bleach was one of my favorites. If
And
I,
while
it,
when everyone was watching Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, One Piece, I was watching Dragon Ball, Naruto, FMA, Soul Eater, Fairy Tail. So like I never got into Bleach and One Piece. So
don't even
now
get me
that I'm like,
started.
everyone's like, how have you not watched One Piece? How have you not have watched Bleach? I just didn't grow up on those shows, so now it's a huge
Look,
commitment. I have to literally sit
look,
down and watch
look.
every
It's
episode.
it's 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 one thing if you got like new shows coming out every other week, and they're like, "This is gonna break the internet." No, this is gonna break the internet, and you got to watch all these, and they're like 12 to 15 episodes or something max. This is big three. It's a cardinal sin.
But there are shows coming out. We haven't even talked about the fact that Free Rent is out right now, and they are number one on my anime list. They've been number one for like 6 months now,
Look,
dethroning my GOAT Brotherhood at the top, and no one's saying anything. And I'm like, come on.
look. Here's the thing, though. We wouldn't be where we are without your Dragon Balls, your One Pieces, your Hunters. Like we wouldn't have this as a platform to talk about without the OGs. So if you can't put some respect on their name in the same way you put respect on Full Metal Alchemist the Brotherhood name, then like what are you doing? I'm not saying you gotta watch every new show that's coming out back to back, week after week, or whatever of the new stuff because that's coming out. But to be in this game, my man, and I don't know if you've been doing this longer than I have. I don't really know, but to be in this game, my man, you got to put some respect on the OGs.
I
But
always put respect on the OGs, but it's also like with that mentality. What about the Sailor Moons? What about the Astro Boys? What about the OG
Saint Seiya,
OGs?
the Saint Seiyas and all that,
Exactly.
you can watch
Have
those.
you seen have just and this is just a general, comment to the entire audience, but have y'all seen every single one of those shows? Like you got OGs to your OGs and we haven't seen those and I haven't seen that. And then like I will watch it. I just haven't gotten to it.
Look, I say I give you one word that'll make you want to just hop on Bleach probably today after we get done with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yoruichi cat
I
form.
knew it. I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that.
I'm talking not.
That is a good reason. To
Look. Not Yoruichi cat form. Yoruichi cat form. Lightning cat form. Bro, when that hit the books, when that hit the manga.
Yeah, eventually I will watch it. It is on my list, and I tried to watch it maybe a year ago.
I know these aren't real people or real characters, and it's like, oh, what a bunch of nerds, fawning over like fake girls and whatnot. But like Bleach had the baddies, bro.
It does. It still does.
It's got
there's no other show out there right now that's competing with Bleach baddies. So
yeah, exactly. Because everybody else has got cookie cutter baddies. You got maybe Fairy Tail is in the running, but Bleach
Fairy Tail is definitely in the running.
Bleach founded the strong woman archetype because you could be beautiful and badass. I can't say not beautiful. Everyone's beautiful in their own way, but like not aesthetically beautiful and badass. You could just be badass in general. But it gave a lot of people, in my opinion, but they're having so many strong female leads in that show. I think that it gave a lot of women a lot of like for me when I was a younger kid, I could look up to or see myself in certain situations when there were realistic situations the characters were going through, obviously. But I feel like in a lot of ways it gave young girls and then later young women a idea of representation in a good way because it wasn't just chick with big boobs and like no smarts and can't do anything like side character, right? It was no, she's a prominent recurring character. She's intelligent, she's good looking, and she's badass. She's the triple threat.
You want to know the king of all female side characters?
Who?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Who specifically from it?
All of them. Every single woman from that series is goated. From writing to being badass to just everything about that female cast is amazing. You've got Hawkeye, you've got Winry, you've got Olivia Mira Armstrong, you've got the girl from Shing, I'm Lanfan, you've got May, you've got like that whole cast, every single one of them. And might I add, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was written by a woman. So you also have that. She just knew exactly what she was doing when she was writing female characters.
I think people writing movies these days could learn a lot about how to write a good, well-represented woman character from watching anime, from watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or watching Bleach. Because you want to talk about representation, like there's always been, well, I won't say always, but there's in my life since I've been around, there's always been good female representation in shows, in good shows.
Right. If it's a good show, it has good female representation.
Yeah. But getting off of that though, aside from Bleach, another thing that I think that you might like. Well, actually, before I just start telling you what I think you would like, because I don't want to just like force ideas on you. What do you like to watch? Because for me, I am a action with a little romance subplot in it. That's fine. I could watch a little bit of everything. I'm not too big on sports animes, but I'll watch them. But mainly my go-to is like action with a little bit of romance. So like you got your Yu Yu Hakusho, you got your Yusuke, and he's got his love interest, and that's a little B plot, but it's there, and it's not so much that that's all the show it's about. but it's not so much action if that's all the show's about. And you get to see them
Right.
progress through the show. I like something like that.
I wish more shows did stuff like that where the romantic subplot kind of uh was a little bit more intertwined rather than like a subplot,
Yeah.
where like, oh, they like each other, but they're gonna wait to put them together until the very end of the show.
I hate that.
Like I've never
Bro, I hate that. Especially when it's a short series. And then it's like, oh yeah,
Right.
they're gonna get together in the last 3 episodes. Yeah, that's perfect.
Right. It's like, okay, cool. You
But
just were afraid of writing an actual
what's
couple.
your
But
what's your go-to genre? And I could give you some bangers.
so my go-to is anything. If it's philosophical, I'm probably gonna like it. So if it's like a little bit of mystery, a little bit of action, gonna make you question like life in general, give you the hard questions, kind of just make the characters go through some really crazy stuff, but also like basically teach the audience a lesson in the process. Stuff like that. Just philosophical uh, animes in general will always be my thing.
A show that I liked that came out recently that it's not like too deep, like you get the gist of what's going on. But have you seen The Kingdoms of Ruin?
No, I have not.
So the synopsis is, just to give you the cookie cutter version, is that God gave the world witches to help them progress and to learn from and to help them. Then mankind got basically prideful and egotistical, and we're like, we don't need witches. And also, magic is ungodly and unholy, and they technically outnumber. Well, they don't outnumber them, but they could overpower them at any moment. And so they basically use propaganda and fear tactics to start a witch hunt, and darn near killed off all the witches. And so the show starts off with a witch and her apprentice, who's a human who's wanting to learn magic. And basically, without going into great detail, because it's really messed up what happens to her, but she dies. And that's the whole basis of the show, is him getting his revenge on mankind for taking his master from him. And it's basically telling you, like, if you want to look at it from a philosophical stance, humans became the very thing that they were afraid of, an overpowered, like unstoppable monster in a way. And they treat the witches just like they were fearing that the witches would treat the humans. And so basically they jumped the gun and went all Salem witch trials on people, but without them actually ever doing anything wrong.
Right.
So that's a good one in terms of that, as far as like a philosophical but good one. And it gets kind of dark in it. Not like gore dark, but just like in a sense that you really want to root for Adonis, the witch's apprentice, because he's been through so much. Like you can understand why his stance is, I want to kill all humans. Like he's like, the world shall know pain.
Gotcha. That sounds pretty interesting, actually. I'll definitely have to check it out.
Another thing for like a show like that, where it's like very philosophical, Psychopaths. If you haven't seen it,
That
watch
one
it. It's a classic.
Yeah, that's been on my radar, actually. I need to watch that one.
Really, really good. Premise being futuristic society where cops have these guns that basically determine whether you're bad or not. And this,
And
I don't want to spoil it.
The act of thinking about doing something bad is grounds for basically
Getting shot, because it's basically like, if you could stop a criminal before the act even happens, but it's also just like, well, they're innocent until proven guilty. Are they really bad guys if they haven't done it yet? Type stuff. And it philosophically is good. It has just the right amount of action, just the right amount of gore, just the right amount of suspense. It's got like being burnt out as a person, like how to deal with like anxiety, how to deal with stressful situations. It's really, really good.
Gotcha.
But we're going to take a break from that stuff, because we have what I think is the true testament of an anime YouTuber. We're going to take a look at shonen. Actually, no, before we even get to that, I want to talk about something that I think you know very well. Something I've seen you talk about a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Anime characters who have fumbled the bag in pretty much any situation. It could be fumbling the bag on a female. It could be fumbling the bag on just a general situation. But on the topic of that, and you may disagree with me, but one of the kings of fumbling the bag, in my opinion, is Luffy.
Really? I didn't
Yes.
know he was a bag fumbler. That is disheartening. All right, tell me more.
Okay, so okay, so he went to a whole island filled with women.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
Man, did
about.
yeah,
I heard about
yeah.
that.
Like,
I think Luffy in general just like you can't really be a bag fumbler if you didn't want the bag in the first place, in my opinion. So like he genuinely just
look.
doesn't
No,
care.
Boa,
But
no, Boa. You cannot.
Boa still wants him though. So and he doesn't really care about any of that stuff. So it's like you still technically didn't fumble the bag because she's loyal to only you really, but it's like could he have indulged? Absolutely. Is Luffy a bag fumbler
Look.
because of it? I
I-
wouldn't say.
Ignorance, ignorance is not an excuse for the law. Like that's like when they said in Dragon Ball Super that Goku has never kissed Chi Chi and he's married with
That
children.
was just
Like what?
inconsistent writing and stupid. We don't even talk about that. Whoever wrote that line, this I hate writers sometimes because they just be doing stuff and they don't have no idea what they're talking about. How you gonna go in and write a line so stupid as Goku doesn't know what a kiss is? Like we've not only have we literally
Like
seen him kiss, but the man is married and has 2 kids. Like what are we talking about right now? Why are we always changing stuff? Let's just do your research before you start putting pen to paper about stuff that you clearly know nothing about because you're just trying to make my man look like an idiot just to look like an idiot, like he don't know what a kiss is. Like this is so stupid.
yeah, like that.
It's dumb. Oh my god.
So that's my take on that though, because for me, I feel like Luffy's and granted, I get it. There is a common theme of like overtly dumb protagonists in
Oh,
term
yeah.
not in terms of like not in terms of like they're just really stupid, but it's just like they're battle geniuses, but then don't know how to like drive a car or don't know how I don't know paying your bills works, you know? So like that's a common
Or they'll
theme,
hear a
right?
woman go, "I want to sleep with you," and then they'll be like, "But you have your own bed. You don't need to sleep with me." Like,
Yeah,
get
yeah.
out of here. Stop talking. You're dumb. I don't listen to you no more. So
Yeah.
stupid.
In terms of fumble in the bag, and I'll let you if you have any that you can think of, I'll let you go on that one. But in terms of fumble in the bag, I own the first 175 episodes of Fairy Tale, and I've seen a good majority of the show. And I don't know if I want to call this really a fumble, but I feel like for such a long running show, and they had the time to flesh it out and everything, the relationships in Fairy Tale, because they did have relationships, took so long to develop.
Mm-hmm. They took
Because I'm just like,
a while.
I'm just like,
A
how many
while.
times? Like this ain't like a Naruto Hinata situation. This ain't oh I like him, but he's oblivious. This is
We
they
like
kind of
each
both know they
other.
like each other.
Yeah, but we're gonna
Like you at each other's house and
drag
stuff, but
it
we not.
out. Like
Yeah, it's just like
there was how many are there?
how many movies? No, I'm saying like how many movies, how many villains this man got to save you from
Mm-hmm.
before?
So I've actually watched all of Fairy Tale, which I love Fairy Tale, but I'll even though I love it, it is still like one of my lower rated animes that I've ever watched, just because of its inconsistencies and stuff like that they would do. Um, so even I personally really love Fairy Tale, but at the end of the day, you're completely right. There are literal relationships that are just you when you cook a pot roast, you want it to, you slow cook it, you let it simmer. This we've got it at 1
Dry.
degrees and it's just sitting
Dry.
in water and it's not warm at all. Like
Dry.
it'll get cooked, but it's gonna take like 7 years for it to get cooked, and no one's got time for that. So the whole Jalal and Urza is a bag fumble. Lucy and Natsu is they don't even like confirm that one. That one's a bag fumble. Like, you know, they're a couple, but they're not mentioning it at all. Even at the end of the series, they don't mention it. I don't know if they do. They're bringing Fairy Tail back for the 100-year quest, so I don't know if anything happens with the relationship in that. But
hopefully,
that's
when your man
bag fumble. They took
when your man Gray is out here progressing faster than the basic main character, that's a problem.
Barely. Gray out here got Juvia all up on him, and he's running away from it. And I'm like, what are we doing right here? And like, you know, Gray likes her, but he just won't. He just refuses to pull the trigger, even though she's like completely and utterly down for him and only him.
And their powers work so well together.
Right. And he like clearly cares for this woman. And it took them like 350 episodes before he was finally like, all right, let's get together. And then they're like, and one of the cooler relationships that actually, one of the best well done relationships that I liked was what's his name? Was
Leo?
No. Leo. Who was he in a relationship?
Wasn't he in love with somebody? Or it was more of a, okay, never mind. It was more of like a admiration for, never mind.
Gotcha. I can't remember who Leo was, who he had admired, but he used to get all the women, and then it was revealed that he was actually a key. But
yeah.
The whole what's his name? I'm blanking on both of their names right now, actually. That's actually going to annoy me.
Luxus?
No, not Loxus. The other...
Luxus.
Gajiel and Levy. That's their names.
Yeah.
The relationship really well built up, actually. I actually really enjoyed what they did. It was still very, very slow, but at the very least, you could clearly tell that they were a relationship way before the end of the series. And then they even poked fun at it at the end because I believe Wendy has like super hearing or something like that, and she overheard Levy in the very last episode. She overheard Levy say that she was pregnant, and then you're kind of like, oh snap, that's my boy, Gajiel. Good for you. So yeah, that was
and it's not even. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say that was something that I really liked, and I wish that they did that with characters.
It's not even the characters itself sometimes, because all of this comes down to how the characters are written. But sometimes the story is just written in a way where the characters just can't win. So this one isn't really a bag fumble. But have you seen Seven Deadly Sins?
Yep. I mean, I stopped after they
Meliodas
Studios, but.
Bro, Meliodas got hoed more than anybody in the history of anybody.
His story is sad. And like he will forever be made out to be, and this we're gonna have to censor the word, but you know, he's always going to be made out to be that thing because he's chasing after a girl who's getting reborn and he's calling her his lover when she's like 8 or even younger. So he's gonna have a bad rep with the fans till the end of time. He's gonna have a bad rep in his universe till the end of time. He's gonna be cursed till the end of time. Like, it's just that whole situation is screwed.
I mean, it's not his fault. It's their parents' fault. Like 3,000, bro. Like, how you gonna put your son through that for 3,000 years? Like Naruto may have had a bad childhood. And he may have had all that stuff with the swing and the sad music. And don't get me wrong, that's messed up, you know. And I know tons of characters who have been through a lot in terms of character background. But 3,000 years of just getting screwed over by your parents, man, that's messed up. That's messed up. And then you can't even die really to see her in like whatever afterlife they would have.
Hey guys, Editing Eternal here. If you like hearing our views on all things anime and listening to this video, part 2 will be on D-Rich's YouTube channel. Eternal Phoenix, signing out.